Wolverine is a powerful beta-level mutant. With his regenerative healing factor, his adamantium claws, enhanced physical capabilities, and animal keen senses, the character has proven to be a worthy foe to many across the Marvel Universe. Today, we're taking a look at some of the battles he's been victorious in with our list of the top 10 strongest mutants who lost to Wolverine. Now, many of these defeats are characters Wolverine has actually killed. Others are just obvious battle victories without any fatalities. So with that in mind, let's get to our list. In at number 10, Sabertooth. Sabertooth is one of Wolverine's main foes. Both birthed from the Weapon X program, to an extent, the two have clashed numerous times over the years, both on panel and on screen. And while Logan has bested Sabertooth plenty of times, none beats when he straight up decapitated the mutant using the Murasama Blade. Now, the Murasama Blade is a weapon in the Marvel Universe that neutralizes healing powers. Logan used this against Victor Creed to not only slice off his arm, but also to cut off his head. Moving on to number 9, Deadpool. Is Deadpool a mutant? Sometimes he claims to be, sometimes he's not. Regardless of your opinion on this, or what is technically canon, Wade Wilson, also a product of the Weapon X program's experiments, is a very strong foe that has lost to Wolverine in the past. This went down in Cable and Deadpool issue 44, when Wolverine ends up skewering Deadpool to a wall with his claws when the two duke it out at a Hydra base. It's a pretty epic duel, with both heroes doing an impressive job, but turns out that 6 blades are in fact better than 2. Sorry, Deadpool. Up next at 8, Lady Deathstrike. Let's shift from on-panel to on-screen for this number, and take a look at the battle between Lady Deathstrike and Wolverine that occurred in the X2 movie back in the early 2000s. Released in 2003, X2 X-Men United is a film based off of the God Loves, Man Kills graphic novel, with William Stryker leading an assault on the X-Mansion in order to build his own version of Cerebro and cause a mutant genocide. Now, Lady Deathstrike is controlled by Stryker, acting as his bodyguard of sorts, and towards the end of the film, Wolverine and Deathstrike battle. Logan injects her with molten adamantium, and it's not pretty. While he's never murdered her in the comics, Wolverine has fought her plenty of times, with the two of them having quite the complicated history with one another. In at 7, Omega Red. Omega Red is an X-Men supervillain who first debuted in 1992 in X-Men Volume 2, Issue 4. A serial killer in Russia who was captured and then turned over to the KGB, he underwent experiments in an attempt to recreate a super soldier the likes of Captain America, but Soviet. The result was Omega Red, who has carbonadium retractable tentacles that are housed within his arms, a regenerative healing factor, and an ability to absorb others' life forces. He also has super strength, speed, agility, durability, all that jazz, and an ability to secrete pheromones that result in sickness and death. Yikes for that last one. Omega Red is one of Logan's most enduring villains, and once upon a time, Logan straight up murdered him, also using the Murasama Blade. Useful tool. The two fought for nearly 18 hours initially before Omega Red bested Logan, which caused the mutant to go after him out of revenge using the Murasama Blade, stabbing him right through the heart. In at 6, Daken. Nothing like murdering your own son, am I right? Yeah? No? Well, that is actually something Wolverine has done, and his son Daken was no pushover either. Daken was not raised by Wolverine, but instead by Romulus, and has all the powers and strengths of Daddy Dearest, but with zero moral code. The two eventually duke it out, with Logan feeling the need to end his son in order to prevent any more harm. But it's not easy for him. And as he kills his offspring, his mind ventures into happier fantasies, which is really tragic. Like watching his son go to prom, and family moments like sitting around a campfire roasting marshmallows. Oh, I can't. The reality is much harsher. He drowns Daken with the young man dying in his arms. Up next at 5, all of the X-Men. From Old Man Logan. This one is a little dark, as if drowning his own son wasn't. So once upon a time in the Old Man Logan series that takes place in the alternate universe of Earth 807128, the world's supervillains took over, largely slaughtering most of the superheroes on the planet. Now in the process of this conflict, Mysterio created an illusion to trick Logan into thinking that the X-Men were actually villains, luring him into battle and ultimately resulting in him unintentionally slaughtering all of them. After the illusion was lifted, Logan was filled with grief, ran into the woods, and tried to commit suicide. When that failed, he swore to never pop his claws again, leaving his past life behind. While the X-Men definitely weren't expecting to be taken out by a fellow teammate, it does go to show how strong Wolverine is if he was able to kill all of them. I mean, sure, he had the element of surprise, but it's not like he didn't have any resistance from them whatsoever in battle. On the flip side of that, let's move on to number 4, all of the villains. In Horsemen of War, we see a reverse of our previous number. Rather than killing all of his teammates, Logan takes on every single villain of the X-Men's and kills them. Homicide, it's a common theme on this list. This is a product of a what-if story in which the hypothetical explored is what if Wolverine was transformed into a horseman of war by Apocalypse. The answer is pretty dark. Wolverine becomes the ultimate threat, not only killing Apocalypse himself, but going on a murderous spree in which he knocks off every known criminal and villain. His victims include Magneto, Mr. Sinister, Sabertooth, Mystique, Juggernaut, and more. Because of this massacre, the rest of the world got so concerned that governments actually started to hunt him down. But they didn't need to be that concerned after all. After completing his goal, Wolverine ended up going into hiding, becoming a monk at a monastery under the name of Brother Xavier. Next up at number 3, himself. There's no greater battle than the one you have with yourself. Or at least, you can expect it to be one hell of a tough one if you're as strong as Wolverine is. The 616 Wolverine fought an alternate version of himself from Earth 61112, the Age of Ultron timeline. Now in that future timeline, Ultron has taken over the world, and Wolverine, along with Sue Storm, is sent back to kill Hank Pym to prevent it. Hank being the man who created Ultron in the comics. Now once they've done that, they return to their own timeline only to discover that it has radically altered it for the worst. With Hank dead, the Kree-Skrull conflict spread to Earth and created more devastation. They end up encountering the Defenders in this timeline, and Wolverine ends up fighting himself, with the time-traveling Logan killing himself in the brawl. In at number 2, Magneto. Magneto generally has the upper hand against Wolverine. Logan's skeleton is plated with adamantium after all, which is metal. Magneto even once ripped it from his bones in one of the most disturbing attacks on an X-Men member in history. But Wolverine has gotten his day in the sun as far as the Master of Magnetism is concerned. In the Uncanny X-Men arc, Eve of Destruction, Magneto is thwarted by the X-Men team, and when he tries to make peace with them, Logan decided to take the opposite route, not falling for his tricks. He impales him with his claws, and the team leave Magneto on the ground, bleeding out. They also have a drink afterwards too, which kind of feels weird because it's like, hey, we just left a dude to bleed on the ground, but it was Magneto, so... And last but not least, in our number 1 spot, Jean Grey. In X-Men Phoenix and Song, Jean Grey is so overcome with the Phoenix Force that she's no longer able to control it. She's unable to rid herself of it, and she's become an all-powerful antagonistic force, threatening the universe itself. Rather than become the Dark Phoenix again, she ends up turning to someone outside of herself for help. That someone is Logan. And he does her bidding. He ends up driving his claws through her body multiple times in order to kill her, despite the amount of internal pain this causes him. This even played out in X-Men The Last Stand on the big screen in the film adaptation. And in all forms, it's a pretty tragic moment. Alright, there we have it, friends. What other powerful mutants have lost to Wolverine that you can think of? Give us a shout in those comments below and let us know. If you guys dug this video, you know what to do. Hit that thumbs up button, share it with a friend, and be sure to subscribe to Top 10 Nerd for more videos just like this. In the meantime, thanks for watching, friends. I'll catch you all in the next one.